Hey, y'all.
Ooh, never get tired of that little jingle.
That's nice.
Little do you know, that's us singing behind the scenes. Just kidding, it's not.
It's wild, man.
If it is, it's heavily edited. I promise.
Yeah. How's it going, everyone?
It's good. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, really good. It's cold here in Florida. Probably not as
Oh.
cold as where Emily is right now, but it's cold here.
Yeah, I'm in Denver now, and there are some flurries happening outside my window. So if you see me looking off in the distance, it's me dreaming about a white Christmas. So.
Nice.
Oh man! All right, we got some exciting things to see today. I'm very excited. Let us know where you're watching from in the chat. Like, kind of let us know. We want to give shout outs to people. And while we're giving shout outs, let's go ahead and bring our awesome guests on.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
How you guys doing today?
So today we have these three amazing folks from Oceaneering. We're going to go ahead and give y'all a chance to introduce yourselves. I'm really excited for this episode because I like to nerd out about cool stuff. And it's our chance.
Definitely. So, I'll jump right in. So I'm Nathan. I've been with Oceaneering about 10 years now. So it feels like it's been a long time, but also just because of some of the fun stuff we do, it feels like it's just been yesterday. Because really time does fly with everything that we're working on. So I kind of came to Oceaneering through entertainment itself. So through school, went into creative fields in film and commercial, and then kind of ended up in themed entertainment. Not really quite sure how, but then ended up getting recruited to come to Oceaneering and have been here ever since as a project manager that I've been. So I kind of get to, look at the smart engineering and creative types that we have and see some of the really cool stuff that they build. So it's been a lot of fun for me personally, just getting to see, some of the back end stuff. And I know we'll talk about a little bit of that today, but then just kind of some of the really cool projects we get to work on. But I'll kick it over to Lauren.
Okay. Yeah, hi guys. I took a little bit of a longer road to get here, but I've been with Oceaneering for about 10 years as well. I started out, I got my mechanical engineering degree from Virginia Tech, and then went on to get my master's in entertainment technology from Carnegie Mellon. From there, I interned at Disney Imagineering in the Blue Sky Group. I worked at Tate Towers, designing stages and special effects for touring shows, for live shows, and then came into Oceaneering as a mechanical engineer and transitioned a little bit more toward the controls side and the more creative side. So I've been working with our creative customers. Oceaneering is a very technical engineering company, but we work a lot with a lot of creative companies. So I manage our experience development group now, and we're kind of that bridge between our customers on the creative side and the Oceaneering technical work that we do. So I think Kyle's going to tell you about himself next.
Hey everybody, Kiel Clasing. I'm manager of business development for OES. Also been with the company just under 10 years. I had kind of a different path to get here, non-creative, non-engineering, which is typically what you see in our field. I went to school, didn't really know what I was going to do when I grew up, so to speak. So I decided to study business, figured that would be a good foundation, and I could figure out what I wanted to do as I went along. So, in school, I was a big gearhead. I was always working on cars and racing and things like that. And I knew I wanted to get in something in the mechanical field. I just didn't know quite lead me to here. So I have kind of a mixed background. I started out of school in staffing, did a lot of recruiting for the manufacturing and engineering industry, which Oceaneering was a customer. Got to know them from a recruiting standpoint, helped to place some folks at our Hanover office in Maryland, where I worked for a number of years. Actually got recruited by Oceaneering later on in the manufacturing division to help with building vehicles and where we produce most of our ride systems in Maryland. So was there for a few years, and they called up and said, hey, we need to expand our OES division. We're growing. This is back in 2015, and needed some manufacturing support. So picked up, moved to Orlando, was in that role for a number of years, managing our production group there, and then recently moved back into business development. So kind of a different path to get here, but here nonetheless. Look forward to talking to you all today.
Awesome. I am so excited. I know that a lot of our viewers come from a wide variety of backgrounds, so this is going to be great for everybody. Oh, it's Yen.
Yeah, and our three guests here also have really great backgrounds from and so diverse from this Oceaneering. So we keep throwing around the name Oceaneering as well, and I'm sure there are a few of our viewers who aren't familiar with your work. So we would love to learn more about what you have in store, and I know you have a lot to show us as well.
Sure. I'd just like to say real quick, it's nice to finally have some mechanical engineers on this show.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. So yeah, if you want to show us what you got and share with us what you've prepared, that'd be awesome.
Sounds great. Kyle, did you want to bring up the? Okay. So yeah, I wanted to start with a little bit more about, who is Oceaneering overall. If those are unfamiliar, a lot of people are familiar with what we do in the entertainment industry, but sometimes there's confusion about, Oceaneering. Do we do, water rides, that sort of thing? So I wanted to kind of take it high level and explain the company overall. So as you can see in this picture here, we do a lot of work in the marine industry. And as our name suggests, that is a large working class remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, which is one of the areas that we work in. That was a big contributor to us getting into the entertainment industry. But among other things, we work in the aerospace industry, defense. We do a lot of work for the Navy, and then in the entertainment space and other areas of mobility, AGVs, some other functionality, emerging transportation. So a pretty diverse company. We're all centered on solving problems and coming up with, innovative solutions that are real today to solve our customers' challenges. So as a core of our company, we consider ourselves an applied technology company with a multifaceted approach in different industries overall. You can see here worldwide, we're in 24 countries throughout the world. We're headquartered in Houston, Texas. We also have primary operational bases, as you can see in these green boxes here over the world. Most of these locations, we have pretty substantial manufacturing and operations and maintenance personnel and operations. Lauren, Nathan, and I are out of our Orlando office, as you can see there as well. We also have close ties to some manufacturing capabilities in Houston, Morgan City, and Maryland as well that support us in our division. And then obviously internationally, as we go into different countries and install rides, we call on support from our different offices there in the Middle East and throughout the rest of the world. That's been very, very beneficial for us as a company overall. So if you look at the history of Oceaneering and how we started, really, back in 1964 was when we were founded. It was a group of divers supporting the exploration for oil and gas, mostly centered on manned diving, as you can see in some of these pictures here. Manned diving suits, or gem suits as we call them, very old age technology around the helmets and how to get respiration subsea. As diving and exploration for oil became greater and greater and the depths became greater and greater, at a certain point it becomes unsafe to have manned diving. So we've evolved into robotics to help compensate for the safety risks and things going deeper and deeper. So we evolved from diving into remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, which you saw on the previous screen. to include the cabling that's needed, the vessels even, and the command and control requirements to actually operate the vehicles and perform different work subsea. As you can see on the lower right-hand side, that's a command and control center where there's a pilot flying an ROV, 10,000 feet subsea out in the Gulf Coast, for example. So expanding on that, we've bridged into a lot of different areas. This picture here tries to capture a little bit of what we do overall. Obviously, a lot of work subsea as well as on the surface of the ocean. We have a fleet of vessels that we provide support for our customers that want to explore or drill. Personnel, hardware, software. Global Data Solutions is a division of ours where we transmit data and provide remote command and control operations offshore. Also in the aerospace industry, we're a space flight hardware manufacturer for NASA, do a lot of work in the soft goods area, things with rocket motor ablatives and things of that nature. And then also moving on ground, obviously in the entertainment industry, as well as with industrial manufacturing is a big part of our business as well. So pretty diverse, a lot of different capabilities and markets that we serve overall. These slides, I'll fly through them pretty quick just to give a flavor for some other work that we do. We are a big supporter of the U.S. Navy, as I mentioned. We built and work on Navy submarines. As you can see here, dry deck shelter modifications. We're one of the only 3 companies in the world that are certified to do critical hull manufacturing on naval submarines, as an example. This business unit is based out of Chesapeake, Virginia. If you go to the next one, please. Our OTech division also supports a lot of Navy work, a lot of surface mobility. This crane system here is something we built for the Navy to help with sea basing capabilities, transferring loads between 2 surface vessels at various sea states, which can be very challenging. So we build the technologies to help articulate and safely do this while underway in sea. Go to the next one, Kyle. As I mentioned, our space systems group, we do a lot of work for NASA and in the commercial spaceflight area. You can see our logo there on the space shuttle. We also do a lot of work in Houston, the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, testing grounds where they do astronaut testing. We operate there for different missions. The next one, please. As I mentioned, a lot of the capabilities, and you'll see this in more detail as we get into some more of the videos and our products in our entertainment space, came from a core technology that's used in AGVs or automated guided vehicles. So we have technologies that are shared in both the industrial and entertainment space for moving vehicles, performing different tasks, all with safety and reliability is the forefront of what we do. And then the next one is entertainment. So the rest of what we're going to talk about is all about OES and our entertainment projects and products mostly. I'll pass it over to Nathan and Lauren if you wanted to take us down a little further into some of what we do there.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the the overarching themes that we like to talk about is as Kyle just kind of showed you guys with everything that we do as far as Oceaneering goes, is that we really work in harsh environment type places. So anywhere from the seafloor all the way up to the ISS and everything way above us. It's this equipment that we build needs to be fully operational and always running at all times. So when you look at the entertainment space, where we kind of we're going to talk a little bit more about now, nothing is more important than having stuff that can run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The parks don't close. I mean, other than, let's just say this year is an anomaly, but parks don't shut down. So our equipment always has to be running because the guest experience for our customers of the parks is dependent on having those attractions always running all the time. So when we kind of dive into how we got into entertainment itself, if you guys click to the next one, you can be able to see a photo of some of our old guard here. Majority of these guys are still with us, though in more higher executive roles now. But this was the original Oceaneering entertainment crew. As you can see, we're really, really hard at work right now. But the way we kind of got in, and the stories kind of is known out there, is there was a park here in Orlando. Can't really get into what exactly it was, but a park here in Orlando that had a significant issue with a attraction, and they needed a company to come in and have some deep water experience in harsh environments to help build and manufacture one of their big giant themed elements for that attraction. So obviously we came in, we're able to solve that issue for said park here in Orlando. And at that point, entertainment was born. And that was, we've kind of been here ever since. So we seem to be the go-to company right now for, anything that's difficult, challenging, as Lauren, coming out of the WDI Blue Sky, anything that, the creatives and everybody has, well, can we do this? They usually come to us and we're the ones that say, well, of course you can, and here's how you do it. So Lauren, you want to talk a couple through these?
Sure. Yeah, I think we're going to go through each of these different ride vehicle products that we have. I think the first one we're going to talk about is trackless. So this was a kind of newcomer to the industry for dark rides. Our trackless rides really give us a lot of flexibility. They allow us to be able to create shows that you really can't with a tracked dark ride. You can have interaction between vehicles. You can have what we coined as our organic station, where you don't have to wait for a slow load. Vehicles can move around one another. Really gives us a lot of flexibility in show design. Let's see, Evolution and Evo 6 are both tracked type rides. Evolution gives us, they both give us different feels. So, when we're working with our creative customers, what we're talking about is, or what they talk about is what they want the guests to feel, what they want them to experience. So each of our ride vehicles can give different types of experiences. Evolution is better at a more floaty type feeling. If you're looking for something that's like floating on a cloud, flying, helicopters, hovercrafts, that vehicle is really good at giving that type of feeling. The Evo 6 we've used for interactive rides because it can give very quick responses. So you see something on a screen and you want a really quick hit. That vehicle can really give you that type of experience. And then Kyle later will talk about our suspended theater product.
Yeah, but I love the kind of Arthur C. Clarke quote that we have up here. One of the big things that we kind of, a mantra that we have here at OES is that, if the guest is experiencing the attraction and they see what we do, i.e. the ride vehicle or any of the mechanics or anything, then they've completely lost the magic of the show. And really what the intended, feel, as Lauren was saying, of what that attraction really was. So really, we are the most successful when the guest really doesn't know who we are or what we've actually done. So I think that's kind of a cool way to look at, we build big giant machines, and we really don't want people to understand what they are.
Yeah, they should definitely disappear into the background of the show.
Exactly. So this is just something to kind of point out just a few of the things we've done, because obviously, like we said, most people don't know who we are, or we'd like them to not really understand what we've really been involved in. But we do have 12 big major attractions that have won Theo Awards. These are just a couple of them from a little bit back in the past, just to kind of show a little bit more of how long we've been around and some of the big giant rides we've really been involved in. Looking forward to some of the other ones. But if you click to the next one, we get into some of the more distinguished ones, especially for folks here in Orlando. That would be out. So the next one, if you click through, is the shuttle launch experience out at Kennedy. So huge simulator, which is out there. So we did all that manufacturing for that big giant simulator to really simulate that space shuttle launch. And it's a giant machine. Then we had to cart down the road from here in Orlando out to Kennedy Space Center and install out there. So that was a really great one. Then we won an award for on that. And the next one, pretty much everybody probably knows, obviously, is Transformers. So been in this involved in Transformers since the beginning with these big giant ride vehicles that we've done. So on this one here for both Hollywood and Singapore, but also involved in the rest of them around the world. So obviously a huge attraction, huge high performance on the ride vehicles. And that was really a great one to really be involved in from day one on that one. And then Lauren can kind of talk a little bit into this one, because then it'll kind of segue into a little bit of our trackless technology.
Sure, yeah. So this is our Revolution True Trackless technology. Started giving a brief introduction on it, but this, you know, I guess we started this one 2014 was when we first rolled out our first Revolution product. So this is trackless. It allows a vehicle to drive typically on a flat floor in a dark ride type environment or outdoors. But it allows us to make very unique rides. These vehicles can drive anywhere around one another. They can completely encircle one another. They can interact with each other. It allows us to really give the ride vehicle a personality and allows for guest interaction between vehicles. The trackless ride allows for our organic station. So one vehicle can pull in, it can wait as long as it wants without having to have any impact on the rest of the show. So the vehicle can sit stationary and allow guests to load and unload for as long as is needed. Also helps with ADA accessibility. So we can pull the vehicle into dedicated ADA locations, or just use regular stations for ADA access. I think, do you want to show the video that we have for this?
We brought some videos and kind of show you guys, kind of help visualize, what the product is, but then also Lauren's got some stuff we can talk through some of the tools that we use as she says, an engineering company to really communicate and kind of work with those creative houses, because we deal ones and zeros, creative houses deal in blue and green, and it's Lauren's team really determines what does blue and green mean with ones and zeros. So if you want to roll into some of the videos, we can kind of go through some of that.
That was a slick video. That's really nice.
Yeah, don't mind me over here. I was just jamming out.
A lot of what Lauren explained. I mean, we tried to visualize it in there. Organic station where you see the vehicles can dynamically move around each other and things. That was a big part of the reason we went with trackless offering in the industry. And Lauren can kind of get into some more of the visual aids and the different programming work that we do in that area to show in the next video. Lauren, you wanted to cue us up into the next one?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, when we started developing this ride vehicle, it was obvious that we were going to need to control it in a whole new way. We needed everything to be a little bit more high tech to design what a vehicle is going to do. You know, there's nothing physical on the floor that defines the path that a vehicle takes. So everything is done in the computer to make to design the routes, to design the show. So, you know, that really helps us in the design process, because at the beginning of the project, even before we have the contract, we can start utilizing our show development tools in a virtual space in the computer. And we can use that for pre-visualization. We can share our ideas back and forth with the customer. And we can really hone out an entire show, since we're doing everything in the virtual space before we ever set foot on site. So, you know, we try to get the show to about 85, 90%. And then obviously once you get on site, you're going to need to sit on the vehicle, you're going to need to ride it, you're going to need to feel what it actually, you know, have all those little details come together, where you know, the video and any interactives and all of that need to be tweaked just a little bit to get everything to line up. And that's where the whole show really comes together. But by allowing us to work in virtual space, designing tools for route development and motion profile development, that we can utilize as early in the process as possible has really, really changed the game for us. So I think we have a video that we can show that's a visualization of our smaller Revolution vehicle. What you saw there was an 8-passenger. We also have smaller 2-passenger vehicles. And this was really just an example of a show that we could do with smaller vehicles. Usually, this could be done to music. We design, locations where there's little interactive moments, but where guests in vehicles would look at each other. It really, depends on what you're looking for from a creative standpoint. But there's so many possibilities of what you can do. We've talked about ideas of having the vehicles kind of swarm together and make different shapes. Kind of like ants, kind of you could do follow the leader. You can, there's just a million things that you could do with this, with this type of vehicle, and you can put as many vehicles out there as you want. And this is one example where you could just have all of the vehicles interacting in an open space. Obviously, you can also do a more traditional dark ride setup that you saw in that previous marketing video, where vehicles pull into stations and go through an attraction and come back to the load station.
One thing it's cool to point out, if you guys could bring the video back up again and play that one through, I wanted to have at least Lauren talk a little bit about, I don't know if they're able to bring it back up. When you see each of the vehicles, you can see specific color bubbles around those vehicles. So, not only are you creating, as Lauren said, creating routes for what you want that show experience to be, but because there is no specific guideline on the floor or ride area where this is, the vehicles, everything is done within the computer. So when you get into the more technical safety side on this, the team really works on that safety stuff. And I'll kind of let you explain what the bubbles, the purple and the pink, kind of represent.
Sure. Yeah, our goal is to reduce the number of iterations that we need to do with the real vehicles. So, we built these dynamic safety envelopes onto the vehicles. We also have a lot more information in the background in terms of allowable speeds and accelerations of the vehicle that the guests are experiencing, of the individual wheels, to make sure that when we load it onto a vehicle, the vehicle is actually going to be able to drive the routes that we've designed. And also from, like Nathan mentioned, from a safety standpoint, we have these bubbles that dictate how far apart the vehicles need to be. We're engineers, we have to account for any failure that could possibly happen on a vehicle. So say one wheel locks up, how far could the vehicle move before it actually stops? And there's, we have a whole list of possible failure scenarios that we need to account for. So that's what these bubbles represent. And they grow and shrink based on the speed of the vehicle. so we can ensure that we're creating a ride that's going to be safe for our guests.
Yeah, and then and having this really helps, Lauren and our team, and then also the creative teams that we're working with as to, all this stuff. As she said, we try to get the show as far, completed as we can before we even, one, put it in a test vehicle, or two, take it out to the actual, facility to install it. And, we can run these simulations and see how far we can push a vehicle with speed, and how close do we think we can get a vehicle in a show. And it'll immediately tell us virtually, yes, it's going to work, or no, you know what, we're going to have an issue. And we need to make a change prior to putting in a vehicle and accidentally running vehicles into each other, or, getting to that point where, we've got an issue out on the job site. So having the stuff that they created to be able to show that visually really helps, especially the creatives kind of seeing, all right, I can see now the vehicles can only get that close. So maybe we need to tweak the show or change our thought process on what we want the experience to be.
Yeah. And we all know time on the job site is really critical. So being able to save as much time when we get there as possible. And it allows for more time for other things, for maybe scenic development or videos, or, the time is critical out there. So the more we can do before we go out there, the better.
Yeah, definitely.
And not just with our trackless vehicles, but a lot of the tools that Lauren and her team use for programming and, as we said, reducing the time on site also are applicable to our tracked vehicles. And we have a video here we can cue. Nathan, you want to tee us up for Evo 6?
Yeah, Evolution 6 is next one. We'll roll the video, and then we can talk a little bit about the development of this one.
Major props to your media department.
Yeah, they have fun. So yeah, I mean they do marketing and all that kind of stuff for Oceaneering corporate, so oil field and all that stuff. So when we make requests in the entertainment group to do something wild, and usually we don't have any boundaries for them, we can let them kind of do whatever they want to do. They have a blast doing that sort of stuff. So we're grateful for them. But no, so anyway, so yeah, that Evo 6 vehicle is near and dear to my heart. I've been involved in the development of that product since day one. So really kind of where we got to with that one, and I don't know if you kind of noticed it in some of the taglines, but coming out of the Transformers stuff, we're known for big giant ride vehicles, massive throughput, massive seating capacity, all that stuff. And we saw that there was really a need in that smaller ride vehicle type, but still able to perform, as close as possible to what the big giant vehicles can do. So we really started with a ground up approach on the Evolution 6 vehicle to see what we could get in a, I can say quote unquote small package. It's not exactly tiny, but in a much smaller package, and how far can we push the capabilities of that vehicle to have that benchmark of a Transformers ride vehicle. So really what we came up with is the one that we see now. And there's 8 or 9 of them out there right now as far as systems go around the world. We can do it with interactive, as Lauren said. It can run pretty much what Transformers does as far as capabilities go, with pitch, roll, yaw, acceleration. So it is a really fun, smaller ride vehicle that we've done, but really kind of gets into using still all the tools and everything that Lauren's experience development team is doing with the pre-visualization, is doing a lot of the show prior to getting out to that job site. Because even with this being a track system, the time to install these is really getting smaller and smaller and smaller, where we have to get in, get out as fast as we can. So getting a lot of that stuff done prior to arriving out there has been a big benefit to us. And we kind of baked a lot of that into this product line.
I'm just kind of stunned. I feel like I'm sitting here in stunned silence because it was just really just visually cool.
Yeah, it's a fun vehicle, and it's completely configurable and modular. So our project engineer Rob always loves to say, when we kind of developed this, is that he wanted this to be a Ford F-150. He wanted it to be, you can get your base package, and then really we can configure it to whatever the customer or the creatives want it to be. Whether it's the low wall vehicle you guys saw on the video, or does it have high walls with doors? Does it have a huge pumping sound system, or is it just some basic background music that's needed in the vehicles? Does it have to have a gaming system, or does it not? So it's like check boxes that we can kind of go down through and really design exactly what this needs to be, and it'll fit a wide range of attractions and storylines.
Yeah, so similar to Trackless, we've developed show programming tools for this Evo vehicle, for the tracked vehicle. These vehicles have a motion base. Some of our Trackless vehicles have motion bases, some don't. These tracked vehicles typically have pitch, roll, yaw motion bases. We have, again, proprietary software that we've developed to allow for programming and visualization prior to going to the site. So I think we have a video we could pull up and at least shows a little bit of that process. I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the right-hand side here, you're going to see a bunch of squiggles. This is kind of what some of our show programming looks like, where we modify a curve that controls the what we care about and what our customers care about, which is the pitch, the roll, the feeling that we're trying to put on the guest is related to the motion that the guest is going to feel. And then we have a whole bunch of other plots that we monitor that ensure that the vehicle is going to be capable of doing those motions, and that we're staying within our allowable ASTM limits. We're not exceeding allowable accelerations on the guests. We're controlling different axes, like the transport, which is the speed of the vehicle along the track, the yaw, so the yaw angle, the angular velocity, all that information. So all the technical stuff is kind of embedded in the background, and we are creating motion that defines what the guest is going to feel and what the guest is going to experience. And again, having all of that background information ensures that we're going to reduce the number of iterations that we need to do, so that we know that whatever motion we come up with, we're going to be able to put that onto the vehicle, and it's going to play back what we designed. So yeah, in this you see the animated vehicle in the bottom left, and the actual vehicle in the top left, playing back this animation. So, again, this allows us to work with the customers early on. We're able to pass these virtual files back and forth. Some of our customers like to use VR to, since we have virtual representation of it. They can take those models and that animation and bring it into VR. They can bring their entire attraction in and see what the motion of the vehicle is going to look like with the rest of the attraction, what sight lines are going to look like. A lot of times, making sure you're not going to see the next scene. So tweaking the yaw a little bit to the left or right to make sure the guests aren't seeing the next scene before they're supposed to. So all of that allows us to work, with our customers more smoothly.
Yeah, and then also, as you saw in there, there's also that same safety type of software that they've used for all the trackless stuff. You still saw, and you probably noticed that still that little pink bubble around the vehicle. So, that's again that safety area. So if there's a requirement in the show where we need to have two vehicles out in the attraction together, or they're going to travel together, or you want to have some interaction even on a tracked ride between multiple vehicles, that's going to show you what your allowable area is. And again, we can do that. And then in that testing facility that you saw the video of, we're able to have multiple vehicles on that track and be able to test out those type of things as well. So we really expanded, what can be done in our facilities well before you get out onto the actual attraction facility where the thing's going to get installed. So all that testing is done before.
Yeah, we didn't show, we didn't pull up a video of the vehicles in our warehouse on the trackless side, but we have a huge facility on the trackless side as well, where we can design an entire show and run 15, 16 vehicles all together on that floor. And we have two trackless floors, one for all the smaller vehicles and then larger vehicles on the other side. So having that warehouse space and being able to test new functionality and design shows on that floor really helps us out.
Do you paint those cool flames on all your test vehicles, or is that one special?
So that's our own little test vehicle. That was our one that we keep in our facility. And anytime we come up with an idea or something we want to add or something we want to try, or Lauren's team says, hey, you know what, we've been trying out these new movements on the vehicle. That's the vehicle, at least for the Evolution 6, that they can kind of come and play with whenever they need to. So, before it was always, build the customer's vehicles, test them in the facility and get them shipped out to site right away. There was really not any of that development or fun time for the engineering team or the experience team to just go in and grab a vehicle and just explore and see what's possible with it and what can we do. So then as we get involved with creative companies and end users, more on the upfront blue sky phase, we have the knowledge to say, hey, you know what, we can make the vehicle do this. And, this might fit into what you guys are thinking for as your storyline, or, be able to provide more upfront blue sky as opposed to, it goes around in a circle and that's about it.
And I kind of had a question, but we had a question pull up from Nick Van Houten. Can you speak to the original development of Transformers and how long that process took to develop the systems and workflow? It kind of tied in with a question I've been wondering myself. How much does you mentioned, developing these ride vehicles, how much does an attraction drive your innovation in your ride vehicles, and then you work back to make that more applicable to possibly other attractions? Or is it you guys coming up with these ride vehicles so that you can propose them to attractions? And I guess any specifics on Transformers?
Sure. So, Nathan, do you want to take this, or?
Yeah, I can take it. Sure. Yeah. So Transformers, it's been a lot of these big giant development attractions on massive scale are usually multi-year development process. So from blue sky to a first article or mock-up to actually producing a first testing and then getting out and doing an overall installation. So it's usually multi-year. When you get into the development of our internal type things, so for an Evolution 6, really we're seeing now the overall timeline for a lot of the parks out there is they want to keep things to a year or less. So from the time they kind of come up with a concept to opening an attraction is really in that 12, maybe 18 months at the most. But they want as quickly as we can, just with the amount of attractions and wanting new things and wanting to keep guests coming back for more, being able to turn something around quickly has really been the focus on us. And that's really where we kind of look at when we develop our product line. So the Evolution 6 vehicle, the trackless vehicles is that the technology there is developed, it's tested, it's safety proven. And then it's just really configurable to what you want that story or what they want that theme to be. So the cabin shape needs to change, or, we need to come up with how the interactive is going to work, or we need to develop what the vehicle is going to perform with. All the mechanicals are done. All of the documentation is done. Everything is approved to use anywhere around the world. So then it's just, kind of letting Lauren's team loose with the creatives and say, what is your attraction going to do? Because we don't really have to design anything anymore. All that work is already complete.
Yeah, it's very obvious how much time and effort and thought you guys put into making it as configurable as possible to fit into any story in any way. I mean, like you guys said, trying to just hide the technology in the story, and it's it definitely comes through. Yeah,
definitely. It's that's the goal is to how quick can we get something back out there, and how quick can the customer of the park get something open. And the fact that we can kind of grab stuff, off a shelf or a design that's already kind of sitting there, and then we just got to go build it, is really helpful. But when you get into big development type projects, i.e. Transformers or any of the other ones that you see at the big major parks, around the world, it's multi-year, 2-3 year development, and some even longer, really depending if they have to have a crazy concept and then have to literally develop the technology to make that concept work.
Yeah, but even like you say, some manufacturers, they have a boxed item ready to go to ship out, but it's very clear how adaptable you guys have made yours, so that they can grab it off the shelf, but then they can also make it their own in every way possible. So it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah. So let's moving on. You guys had a couple more cool technologies you wanted to share with us, right?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, we wanted to get into some of the new products. One is we're very excited about. We wanted to share our suspended theater product. We can get into that video, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. If you So as you guys can see there, that was a new product we launched just last IAPA in collaboration with Falcon's Treehouse, Falcon's Creative Group. It's been very exciting for us. We're actually underway with our first project. Hope to have that released here soon. And one of the things that we wanted to do with this new product was, we looked at the market for, flying theaters, and what you see is commonly very large systems that are infrastructure mounted. So they're either hanging from the ceiling in the infrastructure of the building, which becomes pretty challenging from a construction standpoint, very costly, or they're modular units kind of stacked up in a number of different tiers within a building, which might not have that space or multiple floors. One of the other things we thought would be really unique is to have the concept of a surprise reveal, as we call it. So you saw in the video, you first walk into the theater, and it looks like just a standard movie theater. There's a forward-facing screen. There's a stadium arrangement of the seats. You sit down, other than, buckling up a lap belt, you might not know what's coming. So at a point in the show, the entire system lifts up like a giant A-frame, and there's a larger dome screen behind the primary screen. So it really gives you a second dimension of the flying feeling. You can transition media from the primary screen to the dome screen and really give you kind of a different, unique feeling. It also has multiple degrees of freedom for the cabins, call it, the theater seats, to give some more dynamic feeling. So again, really interested and excited for that one. I wanted to share that with you all, and we can share a couple of additional products, and then we can get into some more of the questions. I'm sure I know there's a couple coming through. One of them is we call our Revo GT, which we should have a video there. I can kind of talk over as it plays. Explain this in a little bit more detail. So this is another collaboration effort with a company To Get There, based out of the Netherlands. We have an office there as well, where we do a lot of our AGV type work. But essentially what we saw here is, our trackless vehicles operate very safely and have for a long time using a similar kind of infrastructure-free guidance and navigation means. That's also very applicable in the transportation or emerging transit, low-speed shuttle market that's becoming more and more prevalent. So through this collaboration, we've deployed this we call Revo GT. GT stands for Group Transit. So it's a 22-passenger shuttle that's completely trackless, completely automated, has all-wheel steering. It's completely bi-directional. And it's rated for, outdoor harsh environments. Of course, completely customizable like our ride vehicles, but more of a, dedicated transit solution for theme parks, but also for, airports, college campuses, other areas that you need to move people from either a parking area or between larger transportation systems, metros and rails and things like that, first mile, last mile type applications. So has obstacle detection on board. So if there's a person or an object crossing its path, it'll stop. It also has kind of a dynamic cruise control type function. So if it's, if there's a vehicle in front of it, it'll follow it at the same speed as that vehicle. Some pretty unique things there. And then a few different applications you can see here, connecting metros, different applications. It operates much like, Uber would, where you can trigger an on-demand function for the vehicle to come get you and take you through a number of different, configurations to your ultimate destination. We don't have to play the entire video, but just wanted to kind of intro this as something that's in our new products line.
That's so cool. I feel like we're living in the future watching that video. That's awesome.
I mean, it really kind of what we got into this is, just especially for us in the entertainment space is that, it opens up some possibilities for parks to really immerse their guests, not only from the front gate, but from their car. So, having this type of parking lot transportation pick you up right where your car is and can bring you in. They're fully configurable, so it's something where they don't have to have all the windows that you kind of saw in the video there. They could have screens inside of them and can really start immersing you in your experience that you're about to see in the park, but really right from the moment you get out of your car. So there's endless capabilities and possibilities for what parks and creatives can kind of do with this type of attraction and this type of technology.
Yeah, I have so many possibilities running through my head too. It's a great idea, and especially like with all those windows, you do like AR.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even
Nathan said, part of the allure too with that was blurring the lines between what's transportation and what's a ride. If you think about a theme park, you either take a bus or you drive and you park, then you get on a tram of some kind, and the tram takes you to the front gate, then you go through the front gate and you get on a ride. Whereas something like this could even pick you up at your hotel and have a themed experience, like the park could have a themed vehicle, have AR type things on the inside. It's completely flexible and really helps to blur the lines between what's just a ride to the park and what's a ride, So
Or it could even start when your airplane lands. It picks you up
Exactly.
right plane.
Yeah.
There's where your experience starts.
So really, it's and as you guys can see, obviously the park attractions are trying to get more and more immersive, not just in the ride itself, but in themed lands. I mean, you look at Star Wars and Harry Potter. They're trying to really get the guests out of their I'm in Orlando. Well, now I'm in Star Wars. So to be able to take that further out from the park and really kind of get them in that mindset and immerse them in that land and that world, the possibilities are endless.
So I think we just wanted to show a couple other things that we can open up for questions. One was, our Orlando facilities. We have a quick video flyover here. We can kind of show you where we are and a little bit more about what we do in this campus. Nathan, do you want to kind of walk us through the?
Sure. Yeah, so we're fully in our new campus here in Orlando now. So between these two giant buildings, we have 200,000 plus square feet of just testing and assembly space. So for the tracked ride systems, we currently have 5 different test tracks that are available to use for either factory testing or for Lauren and the experience team to play around with, or for people from creative houses that say, I've got an idea, that I want to try on one of your ride vehicles. Can I come and play? And all that's available in the first building you see here is pretty much all of our tracked vehicle space. And the second building behind it is all of our trackless vehicle space. So right now, Lauren, you might know the exact size of the test floor for trackless, but I know as of last year, it was the largest trackless test track, production floor in the world to be able to utilize any of our different size ride vehicles, which we do have demo vehicles of all sizes to kind of come in and play and do all that stuff. We really wanted to create a space where, a lot of that upfront blue sky type stuff is available to people to come in and, what can we do? What's available? Utilizing our ride systems. We just haven't ever had that ability to have that much space and that much capability before.
Yeah, we moved into that the facilities fairly recently, but we've already been able to make great use of it, putting together entire shows, testing new features that can get rolled out to new attractions soon. It's just having that space to play in really opens up possibilities for us, and it allows customers to come into the space and ride the vehicles before they ever see them on site too. A nice thing about trackless is there is no track, so we can take an entire attraction and break it up into components. So you could have the ride vehicle just drive one scene over and over and over again and really get the feeling down for that scene, and then lay out the next scene right on top of it and do the same thing. And we can set up video screens, we can set up props, or we can even put you in VR on the vehicle and immerse you in your attraction, but you're able to ride the vehicle and feel what it could feel like. So.
So that last video we wanted to share, I mean, obviously COVID has been very impacting in our organization and our industry overall. And we had a couple customers early in the year come to us and say, what are your thoughts? What can we do to address this issue? What does this mean for our industry long term? And do you have any solutions? So we put a small team together and came up with some thoughts on how to incorporate automatic sanitizing solutions into our ride systems or into any kind of ride system that might be out there. And we came up with this concept of Oceaneer actually back in as early as March of last year. Built a prototype at our facilities in Orlando that you saw, went through, demonstrated it, started to prototype how it would work, what kind of sanitizing agents it would use, how flexible it could be, how it could work with the ride system, but not be detrimental to electronics and other things like that. So something we've been developing since, and just another area that we see as innovators and trying to solve problems for our customers. We're certainly not experts in cleaning or chemicals, but we saw that as an opportunity, as something we can add to our systems as an added feature to help address the issue at hand. So just wanted to share that with you all.
That's so awesome. And I love that you all are thinking about that. And, we don't know what the future will look like with like even these next 6 months. So it's awesome that you all are already developing that and, taking care of the guests, because at the end of the day, that is a very important thing to do within this industry. Absolutely. But thank you so much for sharing all of that and sharing these amazing videos. Like, we were all nerding out and jamming out while they were going on. I'm definitely someone who comes from more of the creative side as well. So being able to see like the behind the scenes is really cool. And I know we're not supposed to, but I'm one of the people that like on these rides, I'm looking at the system because I don't understand how it works, but it's cool. So thank you so much for being able to share all that. We really do appreciate it. At this point in the show, we do want to, ask our guests, if you have any questions, please do comment them, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. You can ask your questions now, and we'll be sure to facilitate those to our wonderful guests here. But I did have actually a question about some of the stuff you showed me, and I think this might be more geared towards Lauren. But coming from that creative side and seeing all of the amazing engineering that you all do, what does that collaboration kind of look like within that process? Do folks just come to you and say, like, I want a dragon dark ride? Can you fabricate that for me? Or can you kind of share more of like what that collaboration looks like?
I think it looks different for every project. Different customers, they might come in, some customers might come in with exactly what they want, and they know from day one what they want. I've had people that, they haven't wavered from the first time we've talked to them. They knew exactly the experience they wanted, and we loved that process because it was just stepping along and making their vision come to life. And, that was really cool. It was, just trying to make them happy by taking this thing that's in their head and just making it come to life. And then they could watch guests come in and experience it. So, but other times, customers might just have more of a vague idea of what they want. And they ask us for more of like a toolbox of what our vehicle can do. And then so we might take our vehicle like in the warehouse and create, we have some pre-planned motions of, capabilities of the vehicle. So they'll come in and ride those, and from that they can get ideas of where they want to take the show to best utilize our products, and anywhere in between, but it always ends up being a collaborative process. Sometimes they'll talk more in very, very creative terms. I want it to feel zippy. I want it to feel, blue, or, like these like very, very creative ideas that you then need to take and drill down into what technically does the vehicle need to do to achieve that. And sometimes we work with people that are, more technical, and they say, I want it to spin at 20 degrees per second, and go to this position and spin back at this speed. And so it really depends on who you're working with.
Well, I can totally see, your clients being, inspired by some of the technology. I mean, just watching some of those videos, it's really cool. Yeah, it brings up ideas. So that's definitely, not too, like, I can totally imagine that, riding the vehicle and then having them completely change their story based on what capabilities you guys have. So, yeah, that's really cool. Thanks. And so I think we got a question from CJ. Which CAD and creative programs do you use to develop new systems and create the simulations? So I know you guys mentioned some of your proprietary stuff, but maybe you can talk about some of the other things that you use that are a little more common and
yeah,
non-proprietary.
I mean, for the ride vehicle development on the mechanical side, we'll use AutoCAD and SolidWorks. For the show programming tools, we use a proprietary in-house developed route development tool. And for motion programming, we have scripts that are built on top of 3ds Max, which is an animation program. And then we also use gaming engines.
Yeah, and that, like I said, a lot of that helps is because we can get animation files from creative houses or from the customer and say we want this to do this, and then we can drop it into all the stuff that Lauren's team works with, and then can really spit out here's what the vehicle's capable of doing to what you guys are, as close as what you guys are trying to get to. So it's helpful having all that tool. So again, then that exports out into the motion profile, which then we can put into the vehicle and test in our facility before we even get out on the job site.
Where are you gonna move?
Yeah, so piggybacking off of CJ's question, because this is so you're about to graduate college, kind of along those lines, for folks who are so impressed by your work and want to potentially work for companies like Oceaneering, what skill sets should they have under their belt to prepare themselves?
That's the trick question, right?
It depends what path they want to take and what their background is and where they want to go. You can come in to a purely engineering role, and you might already have a lot of the skill sets coming out of college. You can come in to a programming role. So you might we use within our group, in addition to the animation, we do the scripting and programming of a lot of aspects of things ourselves, but primarily we use Python programming language. So that's something you can pick up on your own and do tutorials on, or you might, depending on your background, might have that coming out of school. I think that programming and scripting is good for anyone, no matter what you're going to be doing, because there's a lot of aspects of the work that anyone does that could be automated. So, and Python is it's such a high level program. It's fun to use, and I recommend learning Python. But otherwise, yeah. So I mean, if you want to design the animation for rides, learning an animation package, whether it's modeling an animation like 3ds Max or Maya, and gaming engines as well, Unity or Unreal Engine. So the whole gambit, but it just depends where you what you want to do, where you want to go.
Yeah, the kind of go-to framework I like to think about is like, don't learn some program if you really don't like it. Like it's better to figure out what kind of stuff interests you and get into the stuff that's going to make you happy day to day, and then find a role that fits that, whether it's at Oceaneering or if it is 3ds Max and you get into that. But I mean, check them all out. Definitely look into every single one a little bit, and then try to learn more about the stuff that you're interested in, because you're going to be more successful and happier in the long run doing that. So, Kelly, do you have a question?
Yeah, I always kind of go to like, what are some things that you've learned throughout your career that can help the younger folks or the next generation or anyone who might even find themselves in a transitionary period, pivoting careers. So what's some advice that you would give to yourself, or something you would have told yourself when you were starting out?
Yeah, sure. I can take that one. It's, themed entertainment. If you look at themed entertainment in general, me, way back in the day before I was really in the industry, it was always, Disney Imagineering, and it's the creatives, and they draw pretty pictures, and they create these really awesome attractions. Knowing, now with me and Oceaneering is that's just a small piece of the overall themed entertainment, pie that's out there. We, just with Oceaneering, what it takes to do one of our attractions, we have, Lauren's team, which is in the, the technical all the way through, engineering and, software programming. And, on my side, it's the business side. So business background, we deal with people in contracts, we deal with finance. In Kiel's side, it's production and, and business development. So really it's any type of background that you have or a portion that you're really good at, there's a place within themed entertainment that you can get involved in. So it's not just because, thinking I can't draw a really cool storyboard or come up with a really cool idea for a new attraction. That's okay. There's plenty of other places within this industry that you can fit in. And, back then just didn't realize that, even though I loved entertainment, but I can't draw to save my life. So I was more in the visual mediums, but then realized, what, I love to build stuff, and I want to get involved in the, the mechanics of what those attractions are. And that's kind of what led me to here. So Lauren, Kiel, anything you see?
Yeah, I was just going to comment, I come from a kind of a non-traditional background, and I found myself in this industry. So like Nathan said, it can come from a number of different areas. We have schedulers, lots of different facets of project management, a lot of different work we do in the field that's highly technical. Like, as Lauren mentioned, on the controls programming side, that's a very unique skill set that's in very high demand in our industry. So a number of different things. It's not all, just coming at from a creative and traditional mechanical engineering kind of perspective.
Yeah, I think it's really just figuring out what drives you and following that path and stepping toward it. I know I was interested in theme parks and amusement parks from the time that I was young. I grew up in Pittsburgh, going to Kennywood, our local amusement park, where Pittsburgh is so supportive of Kennywood that they shut down the schools for the day to have Kennywood Day to allow all the kids to go to the park. So, I grew up loving going to the parks. And that was the reason I went into mechanical engineering, was because I wanted to design theme park rides. But, in the 4 years of being in engineering, I got more into robotics and was more in the details of the engineering that I kind of lost sight. There was nobody else at my school that was interested in going to theme parks. So I kind of lost sight of, why I got into it in the first place. I think a little bit after 4 years. And luckily, and then I was interviewing after school and really wasn't finding, I was interviewing for defense companies and HVAC and that sort of thing, and really wasn't finding, joy in anything that I was potentially going to be doing coming out of school. So that was the reason I ended up going back to grad school. And so I think, maybe it's not always a linear path. You might kind of veer a little bit and find your way back to where you're eventually going to end up, and just following what you enjoy.
That kind of brings up another point or a question really that I had. You all have very different paths that have led you to this place. What's the hardest lesson that you've had to learn so far?
Who wants to take that one?
It's oh.
I can jump in. What we do is hard. So, we're responsible, our portion that we do is, without us, there's no way to move the guests through the attraction. So, we've got to, develop a ride vehicle or use one we have. We've got to make it dance with what the creatives have as this vision. And we have to do it safely, so we're not going to hurt anybody. So just doing all of that with, the unknowns of sometimes how the vehicle is going to react with, how far we want to push it for those, and then trying to get things done within the timing and the timeline that, we're allotted with from the parks, as is, they hit an opening day. They say that it's got to be open on this day, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because they tie, their marketing and all their stuff around that, getting close to that end date is stressful. And it's, understanding that, there's a lot of people that put a lot of effort into these. But then once you come out on the back end and seeing the guests ride and the attraction is really satisfying.
Yeah, I agree that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, on the show programming side, you end up with this cool attraction, but it's a lot of work to get there. And just coming in and making very small, minor changes, really, that's what makes for a good attraction. If you can get that motion of the vehicle to really line up to the video, really line up to your interactives, and it takes a long time to get there to create the, just those minor tweaks to the animation to really make the show come together. It takes time, it takes patience.
And taking those hard lessons of, that amount of stress when we have a day left to get it right, has really, made us look kind of closer, further upstream to, what can we do earlier to not have it be so stressful. So that's how we ended up with 2 giant buildings. That's how we ended up with all of Lauren's team's tools to visualize all this stuff in our facility in a controlled environment on our timeline, as opposed to everybody else's timeline when everybody else is trying to get their job done and the attraction to get it open to guests. So, taking those expensive lessons downstream has led us to say, what if we invest a little bit more farther upstream and give that, have those capabilities and that availability to do stuff like that. It has really saved us on, time on site and, running into we thought this was going to happen, or we thought we could do this, but now we can't. So what do? We've got a week left, those sort of things.
Right. Work smarter, not harder. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, your facilities look amazing. What you shared with us, and you said you had like 20 plus of those trackless vehicles on site as well, which is so cool. I had another question about collaboration. And you kind of talked on this earlier of, you have one team that works solely, in like ones and zeros, and then one team that works, with an RBG, and you kind of have to find the way to communicate with each other in the most productive way or the most efficient way. Can you kind of touch on any times, just like how to get through that collaboration process, and if there were issues, how do you resolve those issues? I know we do have a lot of folks who watch the show who are either engineers or either designers, and hopefully we all get to work together one day. So how do you find how to collaborate within that teamwork, and if there were issues, how do you resolve them?
Lauren, do you want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all have to keep the same high level goals in mind, and it's creating, first of all, safety is our number one priority. So if someone is asking something creatively that isn't going to be safe, that's a place where we're all in agreement. Everything has to be safe for us developing the ride, as well as the customers, the guests that are riding it. And then keeping the same goals of, we're trying to keep our customers happy, to give them the attraction that they're looking for. And then, other things that we need to consider, like budget and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, there have been, there's always times where we need to compromise on both the creative side and on the technical side. And it's just, it's something that we work through. Typically, say when we're designing the body of the vehicle, the fiberglass of the vehicle, the first design of it is going to be something that's outside of the weight budget. So then it's an iterative process to go back and redesign it, cut out fiberglass in certain areas. And now, we've cut back to something that's a little bit more reasonable, but now maybe we're outside the budget. So now we need to go and reduce the number of plant-ons, and maybe we use a wrap on the vehicle in certain areas instead of plant-ons. So it's really just this iterative, collaborative process that that we work through, and we have meetings to work through it, and we come up with something at the end of the day that works.
Oh man, this has been legitimately one of the coolest presentations. I was like wrapped the entire time. Do y'all have any like parting words of wisdom or any words of advice for our folks? Anyone in the themed entertainment industry that is going to be watching this?
Yeah, do it. We're all here, because we love theme entertainment, and we love, seeing the guest reactions to the stuff that we build and the stuff that we're able to design and do. So it's, just get involved, and it's, like I said, it doesn't matter if you can't draw a pretty picture. There's tons of stuff within themed entertainment that you can do, and and don't be afraid to jump out there. And then, everybody on the creative side is, don't be afraid of those crazy giant blue sky concepts. That if it's, wacky and way out there, and you think, well, this is really fun, but I don't think there's any way we could ever design a ride or do anything to do it. Come up with it and talk to Lauren. She's, they're the ones that really can say, yeah, that is an awesome idea, and here's exactly how we can design and make that work. We don't shy away from any of those crazy ideas.
Yeah, I agree.
Kyle?
Do it. It's a great industry to get involved in. At the end of the day, you're creating something. Your job is to create fun. So you get to go watch guests enjoy this thing that you created. Not only now, but most of them, are going to be there 20 years down the line. You can bring your family to it, and it's something you get to share with people and get to watch folks enjoy. So. I think it's a great industry to get involved in.
Absolutely. And it's fun, right? Like Nathan said, we're a big company. And whenever we have folks like from our media group helping us, they get super pumped, and, ride system stuff is much more exciting than, oil rigs and things like that they're used to. So definitely encourage everyone to get involved.
I will say, Oceaneering has such a cool history, though, of starting out like in the Navy and on that side of the industry, which is super cool. And this group that we have here is such a testament to what Nathan was saying, that this industry is so full of diversity within just interests and passions. So there really is a place for everyone, and we're seeing that with this group that we have right here. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for sharing all of that amazing content. Again, your media team, like, chalk it up to them. They're doing great stuff.
We'll let them know. No problem.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for being here with us today. We are super appreciative. For everyone watching at home, this is our last episode of this season. Happy holidays to everyone. Please enjoy this little break and enjoy the holidays with your loved ones. But we do have awesome things coming in 2021 from TETV. Please do stay tuned, like and subscribe down below. But do stay tuned, because we have a lot of awesome stuff coming in these next few weeks. So again, thank you, Oceaneering. Thank you for being here with us today. We enjoyed it so much. So thanks again.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.